In Russell County, Kentucky, you had two murders. You had two murders. Two people got shot and killed in Russell County. 20 cops had tried to execute a warrant against 41-year-old Josh Arnold. And when the Russell County and State Patrol were shooting at Josh Arnold, one of their own cops, who have been unidentified, killed Josh Phipps, who's 38 years old, who was a Russell County deputy. The warrants against Josh Arnold were for marijuana and pills, not having a driver's license, public intoxication, and other non-violent, victimless crimes. In Letcher County, Kentucky, you had a sheriff who murdered a judge. Sheriff Mickey Stines shot state trial judge Kevin Mullins multiple times in his own chambers, ultimately killing him. Now, this is a perfect teachable moment for Kentucky. Do we truly believe in our cops and our court system? Do we truly believe in a criminal justice system? Do we truly believe in establishing justice? Because it's said that our cops are our heroes. Is that no matter what they do? Are our cops our heroes no matter what they do? What if a cop kills one of their own? Well, then that means a hero killed a hero. Well, what do you do in that situation? And what if a cop kills a judge? Are they still our heroes? Many folks will shrug their shoulders over Josh Arnold's life. But what about Josh Phipps? And what about Kevin Mullins? The best compliment that one can give to a judge is that they're fair and square, balanced and even-handed. Because what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Just like in Exodus and Leviticus, where it says that justice is an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. A hand for a hand, a foot for a foot, a fracture for a fracture, a stripe for a stripe, a punch for a punch, and a kick for a kick. Jesus Christ, the two main commandments of Jesus Christ were, number one, you love God with all your heart and soul. So love the great spirit of ultimate goodness with all your heart, mind, body, and soul. Have a great store of goodness within yourself. And number two, Jesus says that we should treat our neighbors as we treat ourselves. We should do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And all that's very, very logical. Since we as Americans believe in the rule of law, well, that means nobody's above the law. Nobody's allowed to rape or assault or steal or maim or torture or murder. In True Grit, this movie starring Jeff Bridges, the reboot, Jeff Bridges is a police officer, and he's made to go to court, and he's on the stand, and he's being scrutinized in court by an aggressive prosecutor. An aggressive prosecutor is just asking the police officer a bunch of tough questions. And the police officer, Jeff Bridges, just very calmly and coolly, as cool as a cucumber, he answers all of his questions. I believe that in general, folks will give the police officer the benefit of the doubt. A jury trial will most likely happen for Mickey Stines. A grand jury will indict Mickey Stines, and then a petite jury of 12 Letcher Countyans will examine what Mickey Stines did, and ultimately, Letcher County will reach a judgment, a verdict. Now, in Kentucky, there's 6 classes of murder. There's murder in the first degree, but there's no murder in the second degree. You have manslaughter in the first degree, manslaughter in the second degree. You also have vehicular homicide and reckless homicide, and then there's the murder of a first responder. Those are the 6 classes of murder in Kentucky, and each one of those have very specific definitions. Now you have Stines, Mickey Stines, the sheriff who shot the state trial judge. He's being charged with murder in the first degree. And there's a major loophole when it comes to murder in the first degree. There's a big loophole. In my mind, thou shalt not kill is the rule. In my mind, thou shalt not kill an innocent. Not now, not ever. That's absolute. That's eternal, divine, natural law. Now, while thou shalt not kill is the rule, for me, there is an exception. You're allowed to defend yourself. When you fear for your life, or you fear that serious bodily injury, serious, severe bodily injury is about to happen to you, you're allowed to defend yourself. So if a criminal pulls their gun out of their coat jacket and is raising their gun up to shoot you, you have a right to defend yourself up to justifiable homicide if needs be. But Kentucky law allows another defense for murder in the first degree. If Kevin Stines or the cop who murdered Josh Phipps had felt like they, and I quote, acted under the influence of extreme emotional disturbance for which there is a reasonable explanation or excuse, then they're justified. Again, if Kevin Stines or the cop who murdered Josh Phipps felt like they acted under the influence of extreme emotional disturbance for which there is a reasonable explanation or excuse, then they're justified using the average citizen reasonable test. And that defense can't be used by any other charge in Kentucky, just murder in the first degree. So what exactly does that mean? What does acted under the influence of extreme emotional disturbance for which there was a reasonable explanation or excuse? Well, that's for the average Kentuckian who would serve on a jury to figure out. To me, that language clearly includes self-defense. Somebody's about to shoot you. Well, hell, you are under the influence of extreme emotional disturbance. And there's a reasonable explanation or excuse. They're about to shoot you, so you shot them first. Now, some people might think just being called a fascist would piss them off to the point of extreme emotional disturbance. That's the Chaplinsky decision. What? You called me a fascist? I get to put my hands on you, kidnap you, throw you in a pen. Now that I don't agree with. Just because a judge had called a sheriff a fascist, you're not allowed to just wantonly and intentionally and deliberately kill that judge. A judge called you a fascist? Maybe you're just being a fascist. Don't he have free speech? Even if that pisses you off and it gives you extreme emotional disturbance. But if that judge was raising the gun at that sheriff, then yes, that sheriff has a right to defend himself up to the point of justifiable homicide. For the cop who killed Josh Phipps, I believe a Russell County jury would be very sympathetic to him. If we truly believe in our cops and we believe in our courts and we believe in our criminal justice system, then the cop who killed Josh Phipps should definitely be charged. The cop who killed Josh Phipps, there's a dead body, that's probable cause. Maybe a crime occurred, maybe it didn't occur. But that's for a grand jury and a petite jury to figure out. If 12 of the grand jury and 12 of the petite jury thinks that he is a criminal, then he has to do the time. Don't do the crime if you're not willing to do the time. So I think that the cop who killed Josh Phipps should go through the same criminal justice process that Josh Arnold had to go through. Now let's not charge the unnamed cop who killed Josh Phipps, our hero, who Kentucky will put the flag down at half-mast on Saturday from sunrise to sunset, with murder in the first degree. Let's not charge that cop who killed Josh Phipps with murder in the first degree, nor manslaughter in the first degree, or manslaughter in the second degree. Let's not charge him with vehicular homicide. Let's not even charge him with the murder of a first responder, which technically, that's exactly what he did. But you must have intent to kill for that charge. So we're even still being sympathetic with the charge. I say that the cop who killed Josh Phipps should be charged with reckless homicide. Murder in the first degree and manslaughter in the first degree both say if you happen to kill a third person, meaning an innocent bystander, then theoretically those charges could apply. And a conviction can be got. But we're giving the cop who killed Josh Phipps all the breaks in the world, but he's still going to get a jury trial, he's still going to get charged, he's still going to get arrested, and he's going to go through the same process that any other average American, such as Josh Arnold, would have to go through. Now, a person is guilty of reckless homicide in Kentucky with recklessness he causes the death of another person. Was the cop who killed Josh Phipps being reckless? Because if it was friendly fire and he was shooting at the dude and then the dude runs in front of him, that seems to be more negligent, more accidental. But if the cop who killed Josh Phipps killed him because he was just being reckless and he was just shooting off all over the damn place, then he needs to be charged. And if that cop who kills Josh Phipps had handled himself like Jeff Bridges in True Grit, then I guarantee you that a Kentucky jury will acquit and exonerate him. Goebbels had to go through the same shit. William Justice Goebel, who's the only governor in America who's ever been assassinated. He was governor of Kentucky. But let's be honest, we don't actually live in a fair and square society. Our government doesn't believe in balance and even-handedness. When JLR Investigates went to the courthouse in Russell County to get some answers on the murder of Josh Phipps, when he went to the front door of the courthouse with his video camera, well, the clerk in the front desk, she quickly hid herself. Maybe she didn't want to be videotaped. Maybe she went to go get a cop to come out and harass JLR Investigates. In spite of there being video cameras all throughout the courthouse, inside and out, and video cameras being on the dash of the cop cars and on the lapels of the cops themselves. Well, I do have a problem with that because that's hypocrisy. We're supposed to be a nation of laws, not of tyrants, which means that the rule of law prevails. The rule of law says that nobody can murder any other person. Nobody can. It doesn't matter if you're the governor. It doesn't matter if you're a police officer. It doesn't matter if you're a judge. It doesn't matter if you're white or black or brown, rich, poor, or middle class, a cop, a judge, or a citizen. Because we here in America, we don't have a king or a queen that rules over us. Who's the king and queen? The law is. The law is queen. The law is king. Lex is rex. Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. For good or ill, our government serves as the potent, omnipresent teacher. Our government sets the example by their behavior. Like the cops who killed Tyree Nichols in Tennessee, well, they're on trial now for that murder. But I wonder if that's because they are black. I want to see if the Russell County officials, the clerks, the DAs, the cops, and the judges truly believe in their own criminal justice system. Or maybe they are a bunch of hypocrites and they know that they have a bullshit injustice system. And it's just a rocket docket slaughterhouse. If a cop kidnaps you, well, you get fucked. You get fucking fucked. Mickey Stines will get himself a fair trial with a good lawyer. They'll gather all the evidence that he needs to gather to make a best case that he can for himself. Mickey Stines will actually get a fair and square, balanced and even-handed examination in a court of law, unlike so many others who have been arrested. But that cop who killed Josh Phipps, I bet you he doesn't even get charged. I bet you no cop arrests him. I bet you no grand jury assault. If it is assault, they'll bury it in the grand jury. There will be no preliminary hearing, no dispositional hearing. He won't have to hire a lawyer. There won't be any bail bond hearing. There won't be any voir dire, no arraignment, nothing. For that cop who killed Josh Phipps, since Russell County officials understand that the court system is an injustice system, that it's a rocket docket slaughterhouse, and that the game is rigged, and because they're a bunch of hypocrites, he won't even be charged. And so, therefore, the cop who killed Josh Phipps will get away with what looks to me like friendly fire murder of his buddy without a jury exoneration. Was he being reckless or was he not? Will we get a jury trial that examines what he did and then give us a verdict of what they think? Will they look at the evidence? A lot of people have jobs, but if you could get 12 of the citizens to take a look at this thing and look closely, that's a lot better than a bunch of officials burying this thing behind closed doors. Reminds me of Donald Trump, who's been convicted of 34 felonies. And yet, he probably won't serve a single day in jail. 34 felonies doesn't even get you a single day in jail? But if you have an overdue library book, well, that puts you in jail. It looks like we have a plexiglass white-collar mafia who are absolutely immune from prosecution. They're on this side of the law, and then they point their fingers and say, you're on that side. That means that the rule of law doesn't apply in our society. They're actually above the law, which is hypocrisy, which isn't fair and square. And it's not balanced and even-handed. What did Jesus say to the Pharisees? Woe to ye, Pharisees and Sadducees, who tithe mint and dill and cumin, and yet you forget the important virtues of mercy and faith and justice. Woe to ye hypocrites! Woe to ye hypocrites!